Welcome back to the podcast. I'm Audrey Rindlisbacher, author of The Mission Driven Life and founder of The Mission Driven Mom. Did you know that 1 in 4 moms feel they've lost their identity outside of motherhood and they feel like they're just a mom? This feeling increases the longer that they're parents, and that there's a larger majority, 79 to 94%, that feel that their identity beyond motherhood is minimized or invisible, and that many mothers struggle with putting themselves last, with a third of the group deprioritizing self care, leading to burnout, where their identity feels reduced to just mom. If you sometimes feel alone in this journey, if you feel like you are not affirmed by the world around you for the incredibly hard work that you do as a mom, if you don't know how to fix this for yourself, how to move forward in a way that you can show up with optimism and energy for yourself and your family, and also feel like you're making headway as a woman, if you worry that your own hopes and aspirations are getting lost in your motherhood, then this podcast is for you. Mission Driven Mom is for you, and especially this episode about beyond just a mom to a mission driven mother. Last week, we talked about why modern motherhood can make us feel empty. And I talked about 3 reasons why that was the case and the problems that are caused, how that makes us feel. And I gave you some solutions last week for how to move forward in that way. Today, I want to tell you 3 things. If you feel like you're just a mom, if you're feeling like your identity as a woman is getting lost in the motherhood shuffle, if you're not making your needs known and acting on those, if you aren't sure how to move forward, if you're like Valerie, who I quoted last week, one of our students who said that she had a wonderful, beautiful family, but she wasn't happy and she didn't know why. If those things resonate with you, then there's 3 really important things that you absolutely need to know. Now, before I get into that, if you tuned in last week, then you heard a quick little story about Leanna and how learning to be a creator, understanding drama, and teaching that to her family and learning what it means to be a creator, which is one of the many, many principles and concepts that we deep dive into in our academy, how that literally revolutionized her family. And I am not exaggerating. She told a beautiful story about how that was really reworking her relationships, how it was up-leveling her motherhood, and how it was empowering her children and her whole family with this shared language. Well, we are reinstituting, we are bringing back our MDM celebration. This year's theme is Mothers of Creation. It will be in the fall, but we're starting the conversation now, and we don't want you to miss out. I want you to be there on Thursday, the 29th, in not very long from now, for a workshop, and then you will be added to the exclusive community that's going to be a sneak peek for the event. So from now on, whoever signs up for the celebration event will be able to be on this live sneak peek workshop or view the recording, and then be a part of this mentored exclusive community all throughout the year, where we will do a drip campaign on concepts and principles from the event, and we'll practice them, we'll deep dive. So just imagine how much better prepared. And one of the reasons we decided to do this was because I was going through all the content that we're going to cover in the fall, and there was so much, and I was like, well, this is a really important concept that we could practice a lot, but I only have time to just gloss over it. I can teach the concept, but then we've got to move on. Well, if you're part of this exclusive community and you come and learn, the kickoff stuff from the workshop, and then you engage in this community all year, you will be becoming literally a mother of creation all year long, and it will culminate in our in-person event I think it's the last Saturday in September. So go to themissiondrivenmom.com, go to the conference page, and sign up. The sooner the better, because every day that you don't sign up is a day that you're not being mentored and lifted by this community of women, and that you're not becoming a mother of creation. Here's a few things that we're going to cover in that workshop. We're going to go over the origin of the drama triangle, which is actually kind of fascinating. We're going to talk about what the drama triangle is and why it matters so much. We're going to help you understand the victim role, especially, and how you're showing up as a victim in your everyday life, what that looks like when you do that. Then we're going to talk about the types of victims. And this is one really key element that we will not have very much time to talk about at all in September. So I'm super excited for all of you to get a jump start on this concept. We're going to talk about the types of victims, why they matter, and what type you are showing up as. We're going to discern how that's your way of being and give you the antidote so that you know how to get yourself out of victimhood. And then Lindsay Wright, who we all know is one of the most amazing mentors in the world, is going to lead you all year in that community, guiding you through concepts. And you're going to practice and you're going to read things and you're going to talk about it. And it's going to be incredible. Kind of a little mini academy experience, if you will. Just a tiny bit of information you can practice all year and have that community around you. This is going to do three things for you. It's going to jumpstart the content and allow you to be going through it all throughout the year. It's going to give you a deeper dive into the content that we're going to go through that day. And it's going to give you that mentoring and community support so that you can become the creator that you want to be. So go over there and sign up. Now, as we talk about what it means to go beyond being just a mom to being a mission-driven mother, I want to tell you a personal story that I think some of you might resonate with. Hopefully, you haven't done this like I did this, but I think you can relate to the kinds of feelings that I was having. And to that mom, to the mom who sees herself as just a mom, I want to tell you these three things that you need to know. As I've said a lot, because it's part of my story and it was a really painful part of my story. My husband had this pornography addiction, which was pretty bad in the beginning of our marriage. And I had to have surgery 2 weeks after we were married, and the doctor said, get pregnant right away. And my pregnancies are terrible. I was completely laid up. I lost so much weight. I was actually hospitalized with my second. It got a little bit better on the last two, but really, really, really tough pregnancies. And so on our first anniversary, I was 8 months pregnant and we proceeded having babies. My husband went right into his career of doing real estate, and that's 100% commission based. And so our income was really up and down as he learned the industry. And I was, had the surgery, had to get pregnant, was sick. I had to quit school and quit work. And so there we were. And I had not finished, although I had spent several years in a good university, I had not finished my degree. I didn't have a lot of really great marketable skills. I didn't want to leave my babies anyway. And so I stayed home. And we already had a child, and I didn't want to have like an only child on the front. I wanted my kids to be close. It was super important to me that they be friends. And so we were like, okay, well, here we are. We're having children. So now we're going to have our children. And so the next one was almost exactly 2 years apart and then about 3 years apart because the pregnancies were rough, but we wanted to have our children. So in the meantime, finances are tough. The marriage is tough. These pregnancies are tough. Being a new mom is tough. And then both of our parents, like mine, were separated and really struggling, my mom and my stepdad. And Blaine's parents divorced the first few years we were married, and that was tough. So many hard things. And I got to the point where I felt so depleted. I felt so brain dead. I felt so overwhelmed. And I think I mentioned this last time where I just hit this wall and I realized, why didn't the people around me prepare me for this moment? Why am I so radically unprepared to manage my own emotions, to manage my own thoughts, to manage my own time, to show up as the mom I want to be, to know how to manage this addiction that we're struggling with, to manage my finances better, to know how to handle extended family relationships? Like I was just, and so I felt so strung out. So I just felt really bad about myself and I felt like I was failing. And I mean, I loved my children dearly and they were sweethearts. And I mean, there were good things in my life, obviously, but so hard. So one day, I honestly do not even remember what happened, but I was I think Blaine might have acted out or something had gone on between us. And he came out one morning ready for work, and he said something and I said something, and I don't know what we said, but I followed him into the garage. And when he turned around and questioned me, I slapped him across the face. Now, that's the only time I've really struck someone. And it was a huge wake up call for both of us. He was blown away and he just stood there and stared at me. And I couldn't believe what I had just done. And he just got in the car and left. Now, to his credit, he really did love God a lot, and he really did love me a lot, and he really did love our children a lot, and he really did want things to be better. And so when he got to the office, he got on his knees and he begged God to guide him. And he opened up the phone book and he called a therapist. Now, that therapy wasn't very helpful, as other therapies that we have tried have not been very helpful, as have most of the support groups and the books and all the things. And I've talked about this before. I searched and searched and searched for answers, and nothing really seemed to work. And then I found this education, and that's when I really started to turn a corner. And so I went from slapping Blaine across the face in this horrible moment. And within a few years, I was running a book club in my home, and I had over 50 attendees coming every week. Our marriage was in a much better place. We were in our own home. Our finances were better. And we still had a lot of rough patches. We still had a lot of growth, and we're still growing. And I hope we continue to grow. But within just a few years, I was running this book club in my home, and 50 people were showing up. And that led to building out a homeschool organization, which within a year or two had over 100 families in it. And so the reason I'm telling you this story is because I know that maybe your perception is, oh, well, Audrey has a podcast and she's built this academy and she's mentored women, and I couldn't ever do that stuff. Well, first of all, that may not even be where your gifts are, and that may not even be your call to do, but that's not really the point. The point is the kinds of things that we help women with were the kinds of things that I was doing during that time. And I know they work because they changed me. And then later on, I did other projects, and eventually we founded the Mission Driven Mom. And now we've helped over 600 women. And what I want you to know, I'm going to tell you these three things because no matter how stuck you feel, and no matter how much you feel like just a mom right now, there's three things that are absolutely true that you need to know. The first one that you need to know is a quote by Gilda Radner, and she said, "Motherhood is the biggest gamble in the world. It is the glorious life force. It's huge and scary. It's an act of infinite optimism." I'm going to read it one more time. Motherhood is the biggest gamble in the world. It is the glorious life force. It's huge and scary. It's an act of infinite optimism. If you listen to a podcast that I did recently to people who are thinking about not having children, you heard in that podcast a lot that I have to say about how courageous it is to be a mother. It is one of the most courageous things that you can ever do. I want to read you some things that I wrote about you. You took the risk of engaging in the messy business of raising children. Only you know how incredible and frightening this journey is. You give it your all. You are determined to see your children become individuals of faith and virtue and character and courage. And you are willing to sacrifice anything to build the best world possible for your children to inherit. I know that that's who you are. And I know that what you need and want is balance, because you want to be an excellent mother and you want personal development. You want self-acceptance and courage. You want to be seen and matter and belong, but you also want to grow and thrive and succeed. And all of these desires are the kinds of things that we open the door for at the Mission Driven Mom. Even if you just listened to this podcast and read the book and got serious, and you can get the book for free at the Mission Driven Mom, and got serious about living those 7 laws of life mission, and got serious about being a truth seeker, you can become more than you are. You can find that balance. Mission Driven Mom is a movement of mothers who are working together to create a better world for our children and grandchildren by gaining the education which we never had, which ennobles us to lead ourselves and our families and our communities with truth. That is what we're doing here. We are linking arms and we are working together. We are gaining the right kind of education, which we never had. We are pushing back on the culture that tells us that what we do isn't of value. And we are ennobled by these choices to lead ourselves, to lead our families, and to lead our communities. And when I started thinking about these concepts, and we have some rebranding coming of the Mission Driven Mom, which I am super excited about, and we're going to talk more in detail about what that branding means. But the word ennoble is part of that rebranding. And I want to talk to you about what being ennobled means. To ennoble someone is to lead them to greater dignity or nobility of character. It means to elevate them, make them more honorable, dignified, or excellent, often through a great deed or by imparting a higher moral quality. It signifies making someone better or more worthy of admiration, whether through suffering, talent, or virtuous actions, elevating their character or status. That is what we do for each other at the Mission Driven Mom. We ennoble each other. The things that we read, the actions that we take, the accountability partners that we have, the workshops that we attend, the discussions that we engage in, the community service work, the read alouds with our children, the things that we do in the community, in the MDM Academy, on this podcast, in our events, they are all structured to ennoble all of us, for all of us to be elevated in these beautiful, rich ways. And if we're going to be ennobled to lead ourselves and our families and our communities with truth, it's important to remember that truth is the quality of being in accord with reality. It's what is actual, genuine, and honest, the opposite of falsehood and deception. This is who you are. So the first thing I want to tell you is you are this kind of woman. I know that's what's in you. I know those are the things that you want and need. I know those are the things that you're looking for. I know that you're like us and you want to be ennobled and you want that balance. But I also know that you're already of a high moral quality because you're here, because you're listening, because you're seeking, because you want more. And there's that hope that things could be better. And that hope comes from knowing that there is truth and that it can make us free. And that is, as we are truth seekers, that we can find the truth and it will make us free. So the second thing I want to tell you is the result of that, of knowing the quality of woman that you are and the desires that are in your heart. You may feel just like a mom, but you can do all sorts of things that right now it might feel impossible to do, but you really can. And I'm going to list some of these things that I have seen women do, that I have done myself, and that I know that you can do. You can learn to solve your significant problems. You can restore your closest relationships. You can gain deep self-knowledge and self-acceptance. You can love and like yourself. You can link arms with moms and make a difference. You can discern the truth in our confusing culture. You can be enlightened and lifted out of your problems and into your dreams and potential. You can become the example you want to be for your children. You can help us restore virtue to our communities. You can make unique and meaningful contributions. You can discover your unique gifts and use them to serve. You can belong and flourish in a community of noble women. I know that you can. I have seen hundreds of women do this, women just like you and just like me. In that moment where you're slapping your husband across the face because you're absolutely at your total and complete wit's end, you have no idea how to move forward in your life. You have no idea where the answers are. And I know there's all kinds of crap out there that's telling you that it has the answers. And I know you've tried things. And some of them might have worked a little bit, and some of them haven't worked. And if you're feeling like just a mom and you're feeling discouraged, I want to tell you that you are an incredible woman and you can become more. If you have the right tools and resources, you can become the kind of woman I know you want to be. The third thing I want to tell you is that as you take actions to be a truth seeker, as you plug into the 7 laws of life mission, as you seek truth, as you grab classics, as you engage in self-knowledge and self-discovery, you will be moving toward the 6 traits of a mission-driven mother, and you can become a truly mission-driven mom. What is a mission-driven mom? How do we go from just a mom to a mission-driven mom? We understand that our dreams are the most noble part of us, that the things that we want are attainable. We latch onto that hope and we take steps in faith and we take the actions to live the 7 laws of life mission that help us to become mission-driven mothers. Here's the 6 traits of a mission-driven mom. Number 1, she is connected to God and draws her sense of value and worth from Him. You are not taking the cue from your own crappy self-talk, because I've had all the crappy self-talk and I know the way that we talk to ourselves, and they're a bunch of lies. You're not going to draw your worth from your spouse or from your friends or from our culture or from your children or their choices or from your talents or from the money that you earn or from where you are in your career. None of that matters. Your worth is being drawn from the infinite being who created you, who knows and loves you, who accepts you completely and entirely and loves you completely and entirely as you are in this moment, and who wants to walk with you on a journey of self-discovery where you figure out how much more you can be. Because you're doing it for you, and you're doing it to be the example that your children need. If you need to say that you're doing it for your children, go ahead and say that. I've said it plenty of times, because they need a mom who's on fire. They need a mom who knows who she is, who leads herself and her family, and who leads in her community using her gifts with confidence, who has like-minded friends with like-minded families, who links arms with them and goes out there and confidently shares truth. So, the second trait of a mission-driven mom is that she has confidence in herself and her choices because of the truths that she learns and lives. You do not have to have all the answers all the time in order to be a great, confident leader, in order to make decisions that you feel good about. You just need to understand what truth is. You need to know what principles are, and then know how to discover and lean into them. And you will be able to make decisions and move forward and lead yourself and others. The third trait is that mission-driven moms are intentional with their time and energy, and they utilize them to love themselves and others. We talk about this a lot in the Academy, that love is an action. It's something that you choose to do, and the feelings of love follow the actions of love. And so no matter how you feel about yourself or someone else in your life, you choose love, and you understand that everything that you do in the name of love, or that other people do in the name of love, is not loving. So you pay the price to become acquainted with the true nature of love, and you love by living principles. And you're intentional in using your time and energy to love. Mother Teresa said, "Our mission is to convey God's love, and these truths are His truths." And so as we disseminate them and align our lives with them, we are actually following God and partnering with Him in our lives. And then it enables us to love properly instead of doing all kinds of unhealthy things or having unhealthy things done to us and not knowing what to do about them. The fourth trait: a mission-driven mom knows her greatest gifts. She actively develops them and she uses them in the service of others. You can do this. I was on so many podcasts the last few months, and the key message often the host or hostess would say at the end, well, what do you want to leave with our audience? And I almost always said the same kind of thing, and that was, you are way more gifted than you think you are. Because I was where you are. I had 15 years of formal education, and I said this last week, and I just didn't have any idea what I was good at. I knew I had some special interests. I loved studying art history, but I wasn't an artist. I loved listening to great music, but I wasn't a musician. And I wasn't a great accountant and I didn't think I could be a great attorney. And what was there for me to be and do? And there are so many things. And that's why there's so many self-discovery activities all throughout the MDM Academy, because it's so important that you know yourself really well. And mission-driven moms know what they're good at. They're developing their talents and they're using them to serve. And can imagine the rich example that this sets for their children. Like, motherhood is awesome and womanhood is awesome and adulthood is awesome. And sometimes my parents fight and sometimes my mom cries, but she picks herself back up and then she's stronger for the trial and she figures out new ways to problem solve. I know that's what you want. That's who you want to be. That's what you want to give your family. The fifth trait is feeling a strong sense of purpose and fulfillment every day as you work toward predetermined goals. So this is where, being a mother, I don't know, can anything outshine that sense of purpose that motherhood brings? Probably not. But it doesn't fill up every single space in our hearts and minds. We have a responsibility to do that for ourselves. We have a responsibility to ourselves, to know ourselves and to find deeper meaning and purpose by setting and working towards goals, meaningful goals that enrich us and the people around us. And the Academy also helps you to do that. We talk a lot about not only finding and writing actionable principles, but we talk a lot about application of principles and tool sets for living them out, for what we call practicing principles. And as you learn how to find principles and practice them, then your goals just become very obvious and you work toward living those principles more fully. The sixth trait of a mission-driven mom is that she teaches her family what she's learning as she grows and leads them on their mission-driven journey together. She understands the importance, like Leanna from last week's podcast, and like so many other testimonials that we received from our moms, that you bring your family on this journey. That's why we have read alouds in level 1, so that you can pick a really awesome book off the shelf and we know that it's just saturated with the principles that you've learned. And you can, through storytelling and bonding and snuggling and time together, pass those principles on to your children and create discussion points and all of that. But in the end, a mission-driven mom continues to teach her family. I remember being at an event a few years ago with one of our moms who was, I think, partway through level 2 or something. And at this event, it was so fascinating because one of her biggest takeaways at this event was she had not been teaching her family all of the things that she'd been learning. And so her big plan of her way of having greater purpose and being more intentional with her time and energy and loving them more was to go home and teach them more of what she'd learned. That's what mission-driven moms do. So I want you to know 3 things: that you are courageous, incredible, and that those deep desires that you have to chase your potential while you level up as a mom are the best part of you. They're noble, and I know that that's what you desire. The second thing I want you to know is that you can do that. It's not just that that's what you want. It's not just that even though you feel like just a mom and you feel stuck and you just hope that you could become that, you can. I have watched women do all of those things. You can. And I want you to know that those 6 traits of a mission-driven mom are the goalpost for you. That's where we're all headed. And we're all doing those things, inculcating those traits into our character, line upon line, bit by bit, day by day. That's that aspiration that we're all striving toward, and we become ennobled and we ennoble each other as we strive to become a more mission-driven mom. And so as you set those 6 traits in front of you, and as you make a determination to become not just a mom, but a mission-driven mom, it will transform you. So as we finish up here, I want to end with reinforcing again that yes, you can become a noble, virtuous, intentional wife and mother. Yes, you can be a great mother and woman. Yes, you can put yourself and your family first. Yes, you can discover and use your gifts to serve in your community. And yes, you can. Just you. You're the only one that needs to change. And what's so great about that is that you're the only one that you can change, and you have so much more power than you think you do. You can transform yourself and your family, and believe it or not, your community. I hope that those words of encouragement sink down into your heart. Listen to this again and again if it helps you. And remember that we believe in you. We know what an incredible woman you are. And we're here to help and support you in any and all of the ways that we possibly can to help you become more of that mission driven mother that you want to be. Make sure, if you've not already signed up, that you head over to the missiondrivenmom.com to the conference page and sign up so that I can see you at the workshop on the 29th, and you can become part of that community and become a mother of creation, more of a creator in your own life all throughout this whole year. It's going to be a phenomenal journey, and I don't want you to miss any of it. Thank you so much for joining me here today. I have great news. Next week, you can look forward to an interview with a woman named Susie Mile, who I was very honored to meet. This one is especially for empty nesters, but I want every one of you to listen hard because I wish I would have known what she was teaching 10 years ago, and that I would have known how to prepare better for moving toward adult children and empty nesting, because I was not well prepared enough, and it has been a bumpy road for me, and we're going to smooth that road with this interview. And you can go grab her book as well, Empty Nest Blessed. You can check her out. Her name is Susie Mile, and we will be talking next week all about how to prepare for that time period, what's so beautiful and rich about it, and how you can continue to level up as a woman and as a mother all the rest of your life. Looking forward to that discussion with her. I will see you then.